Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome. Thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Sorry, the stream always takes a few minutes to get really going here, but let me just paste it a couple different places. And if you have questions, you can put them in the chat. I'll try to get to them. Can't always get to all of them, but I can get to as many of them as I can. All right. So welcome. The markets are alive. The Bitcoin, at least for now, right, has held the 20-week moving average again. This is a key point, as we've said, right? This is the key critical area to look out for, and we're still holding it, right? And this is what's important. I think this is probably responsible for the nice rebound that a lot of altcoins have seen. Some people are probably starting to get more bullish on altcoins, considering Bitcoin seems to be doing a better job of, or at least I think some altcoins are probably starting to perform well, primarily, right, because Bitcoin held the 20-week, it's still holding it. However, with that said, we're not out of the woods, right? We're still not out of the woods. This is it's not like a daily thing, right? It's one of those things. It's like a weekly thing, a monthly thing, right? Momentum shifts in the market, looking at key times in the market where we're holding, this level of support and trying to hold it again. On any given day, you can obviously get swept away into whatever's going on. With that said, this is obviously, we're putting up a much better fight this time around than we did the last two times, right? The last two times, back a year ago and 6 months ago, we essentially fought the 20-week for a couple days, but then the bulls were pretty much exhausted by that point. I think with that in mind, you have to consider that we're at least further along now than we were before. Which is probably, which is one of the reasons I think why we're seeing all this momentum. Be that as it may, recognize that if Bitcoin were to retest, if we come back down and retest the 20-week, right, what's going to happen? Well, a lot of altcoins will continue to bleed against Bitcoin, and this is what you have to be careful. You have to be careful by this, right? You have to be very careful, because people will start to jump into these coins, and then it starts get going, and then people will FOMO back in. So let me try to explain, one of the ways that people can get burned really easily, right? One of the ways you get really, really burned. It doesn't always work out like this, but it's just something to keep your eye on if you find yourself becoming this person. Okay, so let's say, for example, with Link. Let's say, for example, you were the person that bought up here, right? You're the person that bought up here, and you said, what, Link is going to go to $50 in the short term, therefore I'm going to buy. And then you got trapped, right? You get trapped into buying it because it immediately comes down. It has this dead cat bounce. You think it's going back up. So you get excited and you say, "Oh, now I just got to wait a little bit longer, and we'll be back at the new normal, and we'll continue going up." But it doesn't, and in fact, it continues to go down, and then you feel more and more trapped, right? Well, the thing is, right, is a lot of these people that bought up here are also some of the same people that are, they're selling their bags down here, right? They're looking at it like, "Oh, well, now I'm down 60% in a few weeks." And this is just the worst, right? Like, this is people think it's like it's just crypto is not what they thought it was. They thought it was just going to keep going up, and it doesn't. But in actuality, they just got suckered into buying at the top, right, when it was already up 10x in a relatively short period of time, and then at the bottom they think that, or at least the local bottom, right, they think that, okay, well, it's time to get rid of my bags before it goes any lower, and then it bounces, right? So then what I want, what might happen, of course, is the same people that bought up here and then sold their bags down here see this bounce, and now they're looking at it like, oh, maybe I should jump back in, right? And maybe you get lucky, right? Maybe you get lucky and it continues going on up. What happens if it just comes back down, right? And I mean, this is the thing you have to remember, right? Is that there's no guarantees, and this is one way I've seen 100 times. I've seen this so many times. People get burned this way, right? Where they buy the top, they sell a local bottom, and it could have been this bottom, and then they rebuy back here because they see it go up. Could have been buying back, like just continuing that same cycle, right? You buy, buying when it's up 10x and then selling when it's capitulated like 60-70% or something. Okay, so you need to flip that thinking around, right? You need to change the way you're thinking, because that's not the appropriate way to think. Now, remember with Link, we had these different, according to the premium list, right? The stuff, you can find it in the description, but these were the sell levels. It doesn't matter anymore, right? Because these sell levels are completely moot at this point, right? They don't matter anymore because the sell levels are dynamic. They've changed. Now, if you look at it, right, I mean, you can see, and I'm just gonna go through this a little bit systematically so you can see, how it would have played out. Imagine you had accumulated, say, like 10,000 Link or something, let's say 10,000 as a nice round number. And then let's just, to keep it simple, let's just remove this level up here, the top level. We didn't make it there. So obviously many of you know that because we didn't make it there, that means we still were holding, or at least I was still holding, a portion of my Link, right? Because we didn't make it to the top. Therefore, I still had 1/3 of my position, because it was 1/15, 2/15, 3/15, 4/15, and 5/15, right? This was the idea. But let's just assume that we're going to get rid of this 5y, and let's just break this down into tenths. So if you had 10,000 Link, well, I mean, I guess it doesn't really work out that well if we exclude it, because then it assumes you're selling all of it at the top, which you were not. So just assume that you're selling, portions of 2/3 of your stack, right? But let's just assume that you sold, say, like 1,000 Link at this point, 2,000 here, 3,000 here, and 4,000 here, and then we come back down. Now, when we come back down, when you use the risk levels, you might think that we have to go below this level, right? You might think that we have to go below that level before we get into a potential reaccumulation mode, right? You might think that because, well, that was where our first sell was. However, this is not the case. As we know, right, the risk levels are dynamic. They change with time. They readjust with time. The longer we spend at higher risk levels, the lower the risk will go, or the longer period of time we spend at higher prices, the lower the risk will be over a longer period of time, because it gets adjusted to whatever the new normal is, right? These shifts within the cryptocurrency market. So, despite the fact that these were the 5 levels on the way up, right? And by the way, one of the most common questions I get is, well, what do you convert to? Do you convert to USD? Do you convert to Bitcoin? Do you convert to Ethereum? Well, with Chainlink, all of my conversions are either to Ethereum or to Bitcoin. That's always what they are. It's not to nothing else. For right now, they're either to Bitcoin or they are to Ethereum, and it just depends on their relative risk levels, right? So what is the risk level of a Link against Ethereum? What is the risk level of Link against Bitcoin? Okay, so these are the main things that determine, right, where I'm going to head. So for instance, when Link moved past this Y, it was only at $6. So at that point, I converted 1/15 of my Link into Ethereum. But remember, Ethereum at the time was $2.35. So yeah, Link was $6, but at the time, Ethereum was $2.35. So we converted it into Ethereum, and then Ethereum went up 2x, right? And then you have the stop loss on Ethereum at the appropriate risk level, which at the time, the last one, by the way, I think was 440. It's gone up a little bit since then, but the 0.5 risk level on Ethereum at the time for the stop loss, when it went to like 475, the stop loss in terms of securing profits at the 0.5 risk level would have been 440. So you get an idea of how the risk levels work, right? You can't just say, well, we have to wait for Link to get below this level to buy in. The risk levels are dynamic, right? They change with time, and therefore there's two, if you follow the premium list, right, there's two primary conditions that have to be met for Link to be what I would consider in a reaccumulation phase, right? To be in the smart money reaccumulation phase, right? Number one is the Link Bitcoin risk has to be less than 0.65. The reason I'm getting 0.65 is based off historical data. There's plenty of charts that I have on there that show that, between 0.5 to 0.65, this is the general reaccumulation range for Chainlink. But you also want one other condition to be met too. You want the Link USD risk level to be less than 0.5, right? And I mean, for most altcoins, I stopped buying them at risk levels of 0.4, right? I just don't have the risk tolerance. I'm really risk averse, and I don't buy them past risk levels of 0.4. This is why when Cardano was making its move, right, from 2 cents to 15 cents, I said all along when we were at 2 cents, at 3 cents, at 4 cents, I said, okay, well, when we get to 10 cents, we no longer, this is too high, because at the time 10 cents corresponded to the 0.4 risk level, right? So it corresponded to the 0.4 risk level. We said, you know what, our risk aversion on ADA is too high at this point, but we can at least sit on the ADA we were able to accumulate at the lower risk levels. And what I find, is people during those times, people don't really want to accumulate. Then later on, they regret not accumulating more. But we had a long time with ADA. I mean, we're talking years when ADA against Bitcoin was just in this perfect reaccumulation mode. And this is the primary reason I was so hesitant to buy it up here, because it's like, you know what, we had so long to get into this. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to just immediately jump back in or to continue to DCA when we're up at these levels, right? Because it's all about understanding your risk-adjusted returns. You don't want to go chase a pump, right? The way I say it, right, is you must never chase a pump, but you must always be ready for one. So if the coins that you're holding, you're DCAing when the risks are low, you must always be ready for them to start pumping, because you want to take advantage of it if they do. But what you don't typically want to do is you don't want to find coins that are pumping 20 or 30% and then buy them. Of course, sometimes it might work out. I mean, but again, gambling sometimes works out. So the idea, right, is you get the coins that you want for the cycle when the risk levels are at levels that you're okay with. And when they are, you DCA into the market. And when they're not, you don't. You sell at various risk levels on the way up. So with Link, again, it corresponded to selling on the way up, and so it was 1/15 at $6, 2/15 at 10, 3/15 at 14, 4/15 at 18.50. So unfortunately, I missed the top by $1.50, but whatever, right? It's like who can predict the top? I did not know that $20 was the top. 18.50 seemed a good enough top to me, but you look back on it and say, well, if we had continued to go up, then we would have sold at least part of the rest of our stack. Or at least I would have, if it had made it to the final risk level. Now, one thing you have to be aware about Link is that I will never sell all of my Link during this phase of the market cycle. The reason being is that we're so early, in my opinion, in the cycle, right? If you look at the macro structure here, right, of where we are, Bitcoin is still within the accumulation range. So let's go ahead and pull up the BLX. So the Brave New Coin Liquid Index for Bitcoin, right, we're still in the theoretical reaccumulation range here. If you look at these general times in the market when it makes the most sense to be getting into Bitcoin, right, this is where we currently are, and I think we're going to be in there for at least another year or so, a little over a year. So this is why I say you don't want to put too much emphasis on the Link risk metric in terms of saying, okay, well, we're at the top, we should sell all of it. No. We say, okay, well, we recognize that Link has never experienced a bull run, right? Link has never experienced a bull run. from start to finish, right? At least a cryptocurrency market bull run. It's experienced its own bull run, right? We know Link has experienced its own bull run. I mean, you look at Link against Bitcoin, and as we've said before, right? I mean, who would not want to be part of this trend, right? Who would not want to be part of this trend? This is a trend that, in general, I want to be a part of, right? And it's all about taking advantage of these bubbles in the meantime, right? Where you dynamically DCA the cells, and then you just get back into it when the risk comes back down, right? At various levels, DCAing on whatever schedule you want. But this is a good systematic way to go about it. And if you look at these three major moves of Link against Bitcoin, they tend to peak out at the same risk level, okay? So the point with Link USD is now the buy levels have shifted up, right? So back in June or something, I don't remember exactly what the 0.5 risk level was, but I mean the red line, so $6 would have been 0.55 risk. So you might assume that maybe around $5.46 would have been the last buy region. So anything below that, and this would have been like no man's land, right? Where neither buying nor selling in a sense. So now though, this has shifted up. Okay, this has shifted up, and according the last I checked a day ago, this was where it was. Okay, so this was the 0.5 risk level for Link. Okay, so I'm giving you guys an update on the public channel if you don't know about it. This was the 0.5 risk level for Link. It was at around $8. Okay, so around $8. Let me move it down to $8. This was the 0.5 risk level. So the reason why this was important, right, was because it got us to where we previously were in terms of our theoretical reaccumulation, right? Theoretical reaccumulation. Unfortunately, for the time being, we were only there for one to 2 days. We were there on part of 2 separate days. We were there a very, very short period of time. And this was when, if you're on the Premium Alerts channel, I said, this is the time, right? And there were a lot of people that said, all right, is this the time? Is this the time? Is this the time? And it was, well, the risk levels are still low, or they're still high. We need to wait for it to cool off a bit more. So we finally reached it at this point, but that was not the only condition that had to be met. Remember, it also needs to be that the Link Bitcoin ratio needs to be low enough. And so we also looked and said, well, you know what? It looks like the Link Bitcoin ratio is at the point where we can justify it. And actually, let me see if I have the chart on me. Here it is. I'll just quickly show it. So here's the Link Bitcoin risk chart for those who haven't seen it. It's just a sneak peek, of course. You can see the Link Bitcoin risk chart. We came back into the theoretical reaccumulation range, which also corresponded to the Link USD risk going below 0.5. It was essentially the sweet spot, right? The sweet spot for Link reaccumulation, and we have quickly, and I mean quickly, bounced out of it, right? We bounced out of it incredibly fast, and we're all the way back up, right, into new territory. So the downside, of course, right, is that people who bought down here. So the positive side is if you bought right here, you're already up, 25% or something. The downside, of course, that comes with it is that if you did buy, you're probably wishing you bought more, right? I mean, this is the age-old tale in crypto, right, where you always wish you had bought more. But remember that we're still in a theoretical downtrend, right? This hasn't even changed. I mean, we don't know if this is going to hold up. You might have said the same thing down here when the price of Link reached around $9. It pumped back up to $13, but then it still made a new low, right? So we had a low here at $13. We had a low here at $9 or so, and then we had a new low here at $7. So no one can tell you where the bottom is, right? No one can tell you where the bottom is. It could have been $7.50 or 30 cents, whatever. Maybe the bottom is $5, right? We don't know. It could continue, it could continue to drop, and if it does, then and we re-enter this theoretical reaccumulation range, then then that could give us the chance to potentially to move back in or to continue DCAing, right? So this is the general idea. Sorry, my kids just got home. This is the general idea, right? So you take the opportunities when they're there, and if they're not there, then you just don't take them. And it's all about managing your risk-adjusted returns rather than focusing only on FOMOing into a pump, right? Because the downside is if you find yourself doing it, you're buying up here, you're selling down here at the capitulation, at least local capitulation, and then maybe you buy back in here, and then if you're unlucky or you continue to just be really bad at timing the market, then it comes back down and the cycle continues, right? So you want to be the person selling on the way up, right? You want to be the person selling on the way up and then buying the bags of the people on the way down. And the first bag that I bought happened to be here at this local low. Now, with that said, I have to stress the fact, I really have to stress this. This is pure luck, okay? There's no in terms of the risk metric, there's no magic that made it bounce immediately, below the 0.5 risk level back up. There's no magic there. And it just as easily could come back down and give people the chance to continue to accumulate. So this is what I want to say, right? When Bitcoin holds the 20-week, as we've said all along, if Bitcoin is holding the 20-week moving average, it can bounce back quickly, right? And it has bounced back quickly again. It's back up to 10.7. So this is the general idea. I imagine some of the altcoin movements you're seeing are people starting to get bullish on altcoins because they think that Bitcoin is likely going to continue holding the 20-week. As we continue on, if Bitcoin continues holding the 20-week, this will probably only become more and more pronounced. However, if you look at the macro trend, we still have not changed it yet, right? We're not really sure. I mean, historically, this seems to be a pretty decent level for Link right here, this moving average that we have plotted. But again, we don't know, right? We don't know if it's going to continue to come down or not. And that's why we say, right, in the same manner that you DCA your sells, you want, not financial advice, right? But you want to DCA your buys, right? So DCA the sells because you don't know where the top is, and then DCA your buys because you don't know where the bottom is. Maybe this was the bottom and it goes back up. Or maybe it comes back up and then it comes back down and then it goes back up. The nice thing, right, is if you're at least able to accumulate something, it was better than nothing, right? And there's always other coins to look at, right? There's other coins that we follow. There's ADA, right? ADA is one. It has been having a pretty good day today. It's up 20%. This is one that is especially it's especially interesting to follow as a theoretical hedge against Ethereum, right? It's a nice hedge against Ethereum. I also think DOT, the Polkadot token, is one to be looking out for on this market cycle, and it's one that I'm continuing to DCA into myself, primarily because I think it's another good hedge. There's already a pretty big ecosystem being developed there. There's a lot of great credentials, people working on the project, so I think this is also a decent one, and it's about 1/10 the market cap of Ethereum. So it's about 1/10 the market cap of Ethereum. I don't anticipate it, overtaking the market cap of Ethereum, but if Ethereum goes up 10x or something, then this one might have more to gain theoretically, but at the same time, you're paying for it in units of risk, right? So you're paying for it in units of risk, so you have to take that into consideration. Now, the thing that you have to be careful about, right? So if you find yourself FOMOing into a lot of altcoins right now, as I said, a great time to buy Link was over here, and I'm not just saying that in hindsight. I mean, on the premium list, this is when I said this would be the time to start. It does not mean it's the bottom. This does not mean that 730 or whatever was the bottom. It very well could not be, and we could come back down. What would cause us to come back down, right, is if Bitcoin tests the 20-week again. Bitcoin right now is approximately 4% above its 20-week moving average, right? So if we go over here, go down, you can see it's approximately 4, I guess it's close to 5% away from its 20-week moving average. So a retest, right? If we were to retest it again, which is always on the cards, a lot of altcoins will then bleed against USD and bleed against Bitcoin most likely. So this is what you want to look out for. If Link comes back down, remember the risk levels are dynamic. So you have to consider that, there's a good chance that they'll change. They change every single day, so they are dynamic. But at least this worked out for the short term, and we'll see what happens, right? We'll see what happens with Link if it continues to go up, or if it's just printing yet another local lower high, right? So you see these lower highs. Here's one. Here's another. Here's another. We still, as far as I can see, we have not broken out of the downtrend yet. And therefore necessarily buying in to a 30% pump, it could work out for you, it could not, and in the same manner, gambling can work out as well. So you just have to consider that if it does pump from here, it's more of a gamble in my opinion. Down here is more of an investment, right? Waiting for the risk level to hit, waiting for the smart money to try to start coming into the market. This is more of an investment. Buying into a pump is more of a gamble. This is why we say don't chase a pump, just be ready for them when they happen. So we'll definitely continue to follow Chainlink. Currently it's at 1085. And so we're still almost 50% down from the prior all-time high. It took a pretty good hit. If we compare it, let's look over at Ethereum. If we look at Ethereum back, at a similar phase in the market cycle from last time, right? So this one actually doesn't go all the way back. Let me pull it up on a different exchange so we can see a little bit older data. So if you look at Ethereum back in 2016, after Bitcoin was, during this time, Bitcoin had held the 20-week. Ethereum, and the contention, right, is that Ethereum is theoretically one market cycle behind Bitcoin, and maybe Link is one market cycle behind Ethereum in terms of its volatility. So when you look at Ethereum, this first pump that it had, it also had approximately a 60% drop against the US dollar. Okay, so it had a 60% drop here. In the same manner, if you look at Link at the present time, from the bottom, it also had approximately a 60% drop. But when you look back at Ethereum, it did have another nice move, but ultimately it still came back down, right? Over the next year, it still came back down to these levels and lower. So you have to consider that these short-term moves, they're completely unpredictable. It's more or less geometric Brownian motion, right? A random walk, not something that anyone can realistically and consistently predict. But the point is, right, is you look to the risk levels and you see which ones are attractive, which ones are not. And for a brief moment in time, the Link risk level hit a point where everything aligned, right? The stars aligned, and we've seen a nice bounce. With this bounce, though, don't maybe it goes up, right? Maybe it continues to go up. I don't really know, but just don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if it doesn't, right? Don't be surprised if it comes back down. Which, if it did, right, it would probably indicate that Bitcoin is not, at least is heading back down to the 20-week. With Bitcoin, though, it is getting pretty. It's nice, right? Because we're still holding the 20-week as support, and this is the key area, right, that we need to hold as support. This is the key area for the bull market, right? These points right here. I do think it would be somewhat, poetic in a sense if these were the last tests of 10,000 that Bitcoin will ever see, right? These 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wicks essentially below $10,000. Maybe this would be the last time. I don't know, right? It's dangerous to say it will be the last time, but I think it would be somewhat poetic because there's so many people that think that the one-day CME gap on Bitcoin has to fill, and I really would like it if Bitcoin could just say, I really just don't care about the CME gap, and to show people that really it does not matter, because I really don't think it matters. I really don't think, as we've said all along, I don't think the CME gaps are that important and that they have to get filled. I think that there's a good chance in a bull market that they have no business getting filled. Maybe they do, right? I mean, there's natural volatility, which will fill a lot of them, but there's probably going to be some that don't get filled. And it's just going to be the narrative of this cycle where, in my opinion, right, there's a good chance in 3 years there's going to be some schmuck out there saying, oh man, I wish I had bought Bitcoin at 10K, but I didn't because I was waiting for it to go to 9,600, right? Because that was where the CME gap was, and that was where someone on YouTube told me it had to go to fill, right? And we've said all along, it might fill, but there's no reason to risk everything on it, right? There's no reason to risk not having any Bitcoin on the off chance that it does fill, right? And even if it does fill, there's a chance we still hold the 20-week, right? If it's just a wick below. I kind of prefer the idea of it not filling, just because it's kind of like, again, Bitcoin does not need to fill these gaps that that some people think have to be filled. One of the things we were talking about too is, you look at Ethereum, right? And let's put on here our regression band. So this is the Ethereum regression band here. So again, this regression band has been pretty good at predicting, good reaccumulation phases. Here's one, here's another, and then, most recently we've had it's done a pretty good job, right? Whenever we come down to this fair value, it's been really good. Even in this region, right? We're still moving up, right? It's the general reaccumulation range. When we come out of it, it tends to correspond to risk levels associated with selling, right? It depends on exactly how quickly it moves out. But as you can see, we've actually re-entered the regression band, right? So, Ethereum is back in the regression band, and if you look at the fair value of Ethereum, according to this regression band, it's only 259, and the upper bound is 369, okay? And then the lower bound is 182. So this is the general reaccumulation region for Ethereum, but of course it is deeper than that, right? It also depends on the risk levels, which are not tied to any form of logarithmic regression. The risk levels do not care about logarithmic regression at all. So this is one of the things we want to keep an eye out on for. This is Ethereum is definitely one that it's my number two, right? Number two in the portfolio. I think it has great risk-adjusted returns, and adding it to a portfolio of only Bitcoin helps improve your risk-adjusted returns because you're getting that diversification that is great to have, right? It's really great to have it. Yeah, the potential risk to the downside is quite high, but the nice thing is that the potential volatility to the upside is also high. And so this is what this is the main idea. And you have to consider too, right, that something like Ethereum 2.0, which I think could help catalyze the bull market, I do think that after that, looking at a few $100 Ethereum is just going to be a thing of the past, right? It's going to be one of those things we look back on and wish that we had always just bought one more Ether, right? One more. It's always going to be, I wish I had bought at least one more. But for now, right, I think we're still in reaccumulation territory, and that the paradigm shift in these prices will take place over the next few years, right? I mean, and it's going to be contingent a lot on what Bitcoin does in the short term to determine how quickly they go up. Remember, Bitcoin, when the volatility on Bitcoin is high to the upside or the downside, most coins are going to bleed against Bitcoin. And this is what we've seen, right? And this is on the macro scale, right? Week to week, every single week that Bitcoin is retesting the 20-week moving average, most coins are continuing to bleed against it, more and more. Like if you look at Link USD, right, you can see it has continued to come down basically week over week, and we've had pumps like this before. So I'm not saying that it can't continue to go up. And by the way, these sell levels here are not accurate, right? We have new ones now because the risk levels are dynamic. But the point is, right, is if it does come back down, you just don't want to be that guy, buying it up here, selling it down here, and then FOMOing back in, right? You want to be the person that's accumulating it in the accumulation range, dynamically selling it on the way up, waiting for it to get back down to the appropriate risk level, maybe buying a little bit back again, and then you just continue on the journey. If it comes back down, you continue the same idea. So, I mean, personally, we'll have to see I still want to see what Bitcoin's going to do, right? I mean, in terms of getting too bullish on the general cryptocurrency market. Yeah, I bought Link, but Link is generally an exception to the general rule, right? Most coins, I do not most altcoins I would not buy when Bitcoin is continuing to retest the 20-week moving average. This is just in general. Hold on a second. This is just in general what I would say, right? Most altcoins would not be, you wouldn't want to necessarily speculate too much on them when Bitcoin is this close to the 20-week because of how quickly it can go back down. All right, hold on a second. I gotta go for a minute. Hold on. Alright, sorry about that. I just had to deal with my 4-year-old who was having a conniption. So, where were we, right? Where were we? I mean, basically the idea is to continue to watch Bitcoin and see what it does. If we see Bitcoin, if we see Bitcoin break back out, up into this region, then then I think we're probably back in business, right, for a lot of altcoins. I think that we would probably be back in business for a lot of them, but for the time being, most of them are still pretty speculative, right? Pretty speculative, pretty volatile, pretty risky. The main exception that I make in terms of altcoins, not the only one, but the main one I make would be Link, right? This is the main one I would make because I said at this level down here, right, that if we fall below or into this risk level, it's generally a good time, right, for Link, given the fact that Bitcoin is this close to the 20-week. There's a lot of uncertainty, but the reason why I still bought Link was because it was because the Link, even when Bitcoin goes below the 20-week, Link has a way of recovering rather quickly, right? Quicker than most coins. Because if you look at the Link Bitcoin valuation, it still trends upward over the long haul, right? It still generally trends upward. So even in the bear market, even when Bitcoin was in its multi-year bear market, Link was still trending up against Bitcoin. So this was why I made the exception for Link as well. So let me know if you guys have any questions. By the way, I'll just remind you that DOT, there's also DOT, and I really do want to talk about this one more, but it's just that there's so little data, and that the channel is mainly based on actually data-backed insights, that there's really just not a whole lot to say, right? I mean, it's one I'm accumulating, but there's really just not a whole lot to say until we have more data. I mean, it's only been around on the markets for a relatively short period of time, and so there's just not a whole lot to go on at the present time. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, by the way, if you guys like the content, and give the video a thumbs up. We have 142 likes, which is nice because I don't think I've actually mentioned it so far in the video, so please give the video a thumbs up if you guys like the content. I'll just quickly remind you that if you are interested in the risk levels that I've been talking about and how you can use them to trade these momentum shifts in the market, right? It doesn't, I would say it was genuine luck that we bounced right out of this region, but I still contend that there's a good chance, especially if Bitcoin goes back to the 20-week, that Link will come back down, right? That it'll come back down, and this is just something that would likely happen if Bitcoin were to retest it. But if you're interested in the risk levels, remember you can check out the premium list at intothecryptoverse.com. The prices are going up in 3 days. In 3 days, prices are going up. So if you want to get grandfathered in at the lower price, make sure you sign up before then. If you're new, the main things that you get from the premium list are weekly reports, weekly videos that are just for the premium subscribers. Also, you get access to the risk dashboard, which is what I use to trade, and the private Telegram chat room and the private Telegram alerts channel. So check it out. You can pay with crypto and get a discount. But remember, if you want to get grandfathered in at the lower price and have a community for the market cycle that's more so backed by data science rather than more traditional TA, then check it out. The prices are going up in 3 days. So let's jump back in. Link, it seems to be struggling a little bit at the $11 mark. The top over here was $20, and then $16, $13. We're still, until this has changed, right? We're still generally in this downtrend, right? I don't see it changing until there's more confirmation from Bitcoin as to what it's going to do. It doesn't mean that we necessarily have to drop, but there's no guarantee that Link is just going to immediately shoot back up, right? This is likely not going to happen, not in the short term, anyways. So I would say just be careful, be diligent. I personally would not chase pumps. You want to buy into fear, right? Buy into fear. This was a good time to buy into fear. This would have also been a good time to buy into fear, as well as this one. The difference with this one is that it corresponded to the risk levels being in the appropriate place to merit even thinking about purchasing Link again, right? So this was the primary difference. And again, there's other coins that I might talk about. There's also Monero. Maybe we'll pull that up a little bit later. There's the Uniswap tokens, right? We're gonna cover the Uniswap governance tokens this cycle. To be completely honest, I haven't even looked at the Uniswap token price in about 3 to 4 days. So I actually have no idea where it's trading right now. All right, so it's around $5. Let me switch it over to a 4-hour time frame, so we actually have a little bit more candles. So it has been trending up somewhat recently, I guess. But even here, there's really just not enough data to make any rational judgments, right? Yes, this is one I'm holding and would like to see it do quite well. And this seems to be at least a nice little uptrend that it started, but we'll see where it goes, right? We'll see where it goes, and at least we've started covering it from the beginning, so that we can cover it from start to then wherever we end up going throughout the duration of the market cycle. So let me know what you guys think. Give the video a thumbs up. Please subscribe. What other questions do you guys have? I'll try to answer some questions. Please be cognizant of questions I've already answered, so you don't just continue to ask the same questions that have already been answered. And I'll go ahead and start scrolling through some of the questions. Someone says, if I were to join the premium now, will I maintain the lower price? Yeah, you maintain the lower price. It's an automatic renewal. You will only be charged the higher prices if you wait until after, the 28th. After, if you wait until later to sign up, then you'll charge the higher prices. Someone asked about the Bitcoin risk metric. I do post the public risk, or I post it to the public channel approximately every 1 to 2 months. But sometimes I post it. I think that it's currently at around 0.44, something like that. It's somewhere around there. It's still pretty low. Bitcoin is not one of the ones that I'm looking to sell right now, right? It needs to go pretty significantly higher, closer to around, at present time, it needs to go closer to $13,000 before, in the short term, right? In the short term, if it were to go to $13,000, then maybe I would sell a small amount. But for the time being, I think that for Bitcoin, it's just business as usual, right? This is the time to accumulate, right? This is the time to accumulate. And not be selling too much Bitcoin. And also, this is why I trade a lot of the Link and ADA. When I trade it, it's either going into Ethereum or it's going into Bitcoin, right? This is the general idea. That way, you at least maintain some exposure to the market, right? You want to maintain that exposure. Connor says, can you broadly cover XRP? I've missed all your inputs on that. And then Rudy says, why do you think XRP is not in an accumulation phase against Bitcoin right now? I do stake ADA. If Bitcoin hit 20,000 this year, would we be in a bubble? I think it would be a short-term bubble. So the general idea, guys, I mean, I hate to sound like a broken record, but then again, I don't really hate it that much. You know, if you look at the XRP, as we've showed many times, but it seems like every stream I'm able to pull in a few more people that are, you know, genuinely don't understand why I don't consider XRP to be one to accumulate right now, right? It's generally because, as we've showed, and I'm at the risk of sounding repetitive, right? Last cycle when Bitcoin got above the 20-week, XRP pumped against Bitcoin 70 to 80%. However, it still trended downward until Bitcoin got to its prior all-time high. Bitcoin got to its prior all-time high right here, first quarter of 2017. That is when XRP pumped against Bitcoin, right? First quarter of 2017. This was the first pump. Okay, again, you go to present day. XRP pumped. Again, it went 40% against Bitcoin at the pretty much same point in the cycle. But as we said, it's most likely going to continue this general downtrend against Bitcoin until Bitcoin gets to its prior all-time high, which I don't think is going to be for another, 14, 16 months or so. So I generally contend that XRP is more likely to trend downward than it is to break out, right? At least at this point in the market cycle, right? This is the general point. What I would be looking for, if we switch over to a weekly time frame, what would cause me to take XRP seriously again in terms of a potential reaccumulation, right, would be to see it, back at around 10 to the minus 5, okay? So in general, XRP is a good buy around 10 to the minus 5 or lower. So in this region, somewhere in that region, it tends to be a good buy, and then it tends to be a good sell up at 10 to the minus 4 or so against Bitcoin. So this is generally the window that I would personally trade XRP in against Bitcoin. And if it goes up before that, then I just missed the boat, right? I missed the boat. I don't shed any tears over it. It just wasn't part of my strategy, and my risk tolerance for it did not merit accumulating it when the data suggests it will trend downward against Bitcoin until Bitcoin gets to its prior all-time high. Yes, there could be pumps in the meantime, but we know that this is going to happen when the cryptocurrency market pumps specifically against Bitcoin. XRP will likely be one of them. But what we want is we want to time it in a way that we're not constantly losing value against Bitcoin, right? And a lot of people that are happy about these 30 to 40% moves, it's like, congratulations, you're still down. Even at the top, you're still down almost 90% against Bitcoin. So this is the key thing. So my thinking is that when it's down here, if it's down like 95% against Bitcoin and Bitcoin is at its prior all-time high, this would be when I might enter into XRP, and not really too much before. So I hope that explains it. I don't want to spend too much on it because we do talk about it. I generally get that question like every live stream. Uprising says, "Hey Ben, do you think it's now a good time to accumulate Uni or DOT?" Yeah, I think that for in general, altcoins are very risky, right? Especially when Bitcoin is testing the 20-week moving average. For coins that I've been accumulating for a long time and I have large positions in them, I'm not necessarily accumulating a lot of them. But for new coins entering the market, like Polkadot and the Uniswap governance token, I think it can merit the risk associated with it, just because we don't really know what it's capable of. And it's, if you want that exposure, I kind of operate on the assumption that it's too risky not to have, rather than just kind of waiting for too long. So in general, I don't lump sum these, especially at times like this. right? You can lump sum them if you want to and you're wanting to get exposure. What I generally do is I just systematically DCA them every single week. Like DOT is a great example of one I've been DCAing every week for the last several weeks. Just because it's new and it's one that I think it's worth following during the market cycle. Wealth Gainer says, hey Ben, so what other alts that you make an exception for other than Link when Bitcoin is close to the 20-week moving average? It's mainly just Link. I don't consider Ethereum an altcoin, even though by the strict definition of the phrase altcoin, it would be an altcoin. When I talk about altcoins, I'm not referring to Ethereum. When I think of altcoins, I want them to at least, if it's not Ethereum, they need to be at least performing as well as Ethereum. Otherwise, what's the point of holding them, right? So a lot of times I'll think of Ethereum as my index that my altcoin portfolio needs to beat, right? If my altcoin portfolio can't beat Ethereum, then why the hell am I investing in altcoins? So when I say altcoins, I don't mean Ethereum, even though by the stricter definition of an altcoin, it would mean Ethereum. So just to clarify. So still buying Bitcoin, still buying Ethereum, still buying Link, and I'm also buying Polkadot, right? I mean, this is the one I said that I'm buying right now, mainly because it's I think it's worth holding. I think I said it's a top 5 coin back when it first launched. I don't know exactly where it is right now. I know it's been in and out of the top 5, but this is one that I think is a potentially good one, and it's worth that risk, right? It's worth that little extra risk, even if it does mean it goes down in the short term if Bitcoin, say, continues to test the 20-week. For the most part, there's not many other coins that I make exceptions for. Link is the primary one, right? I think it's better to have a better handle on, approximately 5 coins, give or take a couple, rather than to, FOMO into 100 different coins and hope one of them goes up. Because again, opportunity cost is huge. It's my opinion that it's better to just learn how a few of them interact with each other, right? Rather than holding so many that it's really complicated to keep even track of which ones you own. So the main ones I follow right on the channel are Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link, and ADA. And then we also sometimes look into DOT, into the Uniswap governance token. Monero, right? Monero is one of those ones that I do own. I do own some Monero, but I'm not DCAing it right now, but I do already own some. But it's one of those ones that I've actually held for a while now. I did sell some at one point, but I do have some Monero, and it's kind of a lot of people in Monero would say it's what Bitcoin should have been, right? In terms of its privacy features and the tokens being fungible. So it's more so like a the purpose of this is right. It's to make money, right? But I think Monero has a really good the story behind it, what it's used for in terms of it being what crypto was originally meant to be, right? Privacy features, all that sort of stuff. So I do own Monero. I'm not DCAing it right now, but if it pumps against Bitcoin, which I think there's a good chance that it will, I probably would sell some of it. What else? What other coins? Those are mostly it. I mean, there's a few other coins that we have on the risk dashboard, primarily because subscribers have requested them. The 3 ones that I have on there right now are Tezos, VeChain, and Cosmos. So Atom, VET, and XTZ. These are the 3 that I have on there that are subscriber requested. So I don't know if you're interested in those. Those are on there. But the risk confidence on those are pretty low, right? Just because we don't really have enough data to have any idea what they may do. So yeah, I mean the ones that are on the risk dashboard are Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link, ADA, Tezos, Cosmos, VeChain, Litecoin, and XRP. And the reason we have Litecoin and XRP on there is not because I think it's a good time to buy them, but it's just to show that what opportunity cost is, right? And to see that they tend to retrace back to where they were against Bitcoin during this phase of the market cycle. But I think their day will come again It's just not right now, right? As I've said before, there's a time to own XRP and there's a time not to, and 99.9% of the time it's not to, right? In terms of making the most of that investment. Yeah, I have uni, but the thing is it's not on the risk dashboard, because how do you make a risk metric with only like a week of data, right? So yeah, I mean, like if it had a year of data or 2 years of data, then maybe it would be on there. But there's no point in putting it on there until there's more data. I guess I do have DOT on the risk dashboard, but I don't actually have a risk metric for it, just because there's no reason to. Like what's the point of a risk metric when we have no idea how the coin can behave? Yeah, so someone asked about ADA, where I think it could go long term. It's one of those ones that it's finicky for sure. If Bitcoin does what we think, right, and spends the next several years going to 100K, right, a slower move up to 20K, and then parabolic after that, then I think for ADA it would likely be a slow grind to get ADA to its prior all-time high. I anticipate that Bitcoin would get to its prior all-time high before ADA would, okay? So I anticipate that Bitcoin would probably make it to its all-time high of 20,000 before ADA could make it back to whatever it was, like $1.30, I think, $1.33 is, I think, where it hit peak of the last market cycle. So in terms of ADA, let me pull it up on the USD chart. So the risk on ADA, again, is a lot higher than it is for Ethereum, right? So if it does yield a better ROI, well, you did pay for it in terms of units of risk. With that said, I'm actually just kind of curious. It's right up against, let's see, the price is right up against, I'm not sure which one this is right now. So the 20-week, actually, yeah. So this would be the 20-week, because it's 140 days. So the price of ADA, if I switch it over to the weekly chart, right, it's right against the let me switch this over. So it's right up against the 20-week moving average. Now, I don't actually know that the 20-week moving average for ADA is all that meaningful. It does seem to have some resistance in that area. But regardless, if we're looking at ADA over like a multi-year time frame, it's probably going to be a slower grind, right, to get to its prior all-time high. I don't anticipate it going more than a few dollars this cycle. I mean, maybe it can make it up to a few dollars if the stars align, but I don't think it's going to go to like $30 or anything crazy like that. I don't really see that happening. A dollar, certainly on the cards, right? A dollar is always on the cards for ADA. It's already been there once before when it really had no business going there, right? I mean, I don't think ADA had any business being in the top 10 the last market cycle, right? I mean, it just didn't. It had no business being there. The fact that it was there was kind of pretty much absurd. But now, now it's actually it's moving along, and I think that this time around, during a bull market, it might be more reasonable to see ADA at $1, and because it might be reasonable to see it at $1, FOMO could obviously take it higher than that, right, over the next few years. But even if it were to go to a few dollars, it would still probably retrace and continue on its way. So yeah, with ADA, I'd probably say the max I could see it going this cycle would probably be a few bucks. And that would be, if the stars align, right, and if everything goes amazingly well for it. Yeah. For Ethereum, I think that, I could go to 10K. 10K might be, I'd probably be out of the market by then. I'm happy, right? If I'm selling my Ethereum for like $6,000 a piece, that's not something I'm going to lose too much sleep over if it goes higher, right? I'll just stick to the risk metric, of course. I'll stick to the risk metric, but a $10,000 Ethereum would certainly be a sight to behold, and I probably would at least own a little bit, right? Just so I could say I sold it at 10,000 if it made it there. But rest assured that if it does make it there this market cycle, it probably won't be there very long. So don't let the FOMO get the better part of you. You see how quickly the markets can change, right? You see how quickly, you look at Link and you see how quickly it can change. Up here, everyone says it's going to $100 in the next 3 months. Down here, everyone says it's going back to zero. Today, everyone's back excited about it. Everyone thinks it's going to pump back up. I do think that Link will make it to $100, and I think that Link will make it to $100 before the peak of the bull run. So I think that so there's multiple phases, right, of the bull run, right? There's the time when Bitcoin's holding the 20-week moving average of support, right, which is right now, and before it, where a lot of coins are pumping like crazy. This would be like stage 1. The second stage, right, would be when Bitcoin gets to its prior all-time high. This usually causes a lot of coins to pump as well. This would be stage 2. And then the last stage is stage 3, and it's after Bitcoin reaches whatever its new paradigm shift is. So last cycle it was 20K, and after 20K you had about 2 weeks to speculate on altcoins, where if you played your cards right, you could have realized a higher ROI from those altcoins in 2 weeks than you probably would have realized on Bitcoin in 2 years. So those last 2 weeks can be kind of fun. They can also be really stressful. This is why I say once you make it to that point in the market cycle, let's say you're into phase 3, you should probably bank most of your profits, like 90% of what you've made, and then maybe you can go speculate with 10% of it, because at some point you throw your money into enough coins, you see enough of them go up, you think it just has to happen forever. And then one night you buy some random coin that someone on Twitter or YouTube shills, and then you wake up and it's down like 99%. So you have to be careful. You have to be careful at that stage. It's definitely the riskiest stage, because the party's over, right? The party's basically over at that point. And if you're in it, then just recognize it's not going to last long. So I anticipate that Link could make it to $100 before stage 3. Okay, so stage 3 would be kind of like the last hurrah of the market cycle. My contention is that Link would likely make it to $100 before stage 3, that it could probably make it to around $100 closer to stage 2, right? Closer to stage 2 when Bitcoin is somewhere around its prior all-time high of $20,000. So yes, that's kind of bullish, right? That means Link going up 10x from here over the next probably 16 months. Maybe a little bit longer, maybe 18 months, 20 months. I don't really know. It's not financial advice. I could be wrong, right? Link could go to $2 or something. I really don't know. But in terms of looking at its trends and data and what it's being used for, I think that $100 Link could be on the cards this market cycle, and that if it were on the cards, then it actually could come before phase 3 of the market cycle. So it's all about the main reason I even sell Link at this stage of the game, right, is to take advantage of these short-term bubbles, right? These short-term bubbles can allow you to take profits in the short term, right? And you can see it even against Link Bitcoin. These are great bubbles, right, to take profits on. And even over here, it took it. If you take a measured move from this top, it took Link 230 days to get back to it, and 316 days to get back above it and stay above it, at least for the short term. So it took it a long time to make it back to that point. This is why I'm saying I don't anticipate. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm definitely not going to say nothing. I mean, anything's possible, right? But I don't anticipate that Link would immediately go straight back up, right? I don't anticipate that would happen in the short term. But then again, I don't really know what's going to happen in the short term. I mainly focus on these longer term moves, okay? And Ethereum, it does seem to be climbing a little bit right now. It's up to 354. I think it was like 346, a few hours ago. So it's moving a little bit. Not too much, yeah, but it is moving a little bit. Let me know what other questions you guys have. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you guys like the content. Please give the video a thumbs up. I'm trying to get to 40,000 subscribers before the end of the year. STJ wants to be a troll. I will oblige you and remove you from the channel. I like this guy's name, Reverend Jim John, the Kool-Aid drinkers. I'm seeing a lot of questions on a lot of random altcoins. I don't have time to go into all of them. I mean, there's certainly some that merit investigation, right? As we've said before, you know, I've carried out a couple polls on the YouTube channel and my Twitter that talk about, you know, in terms of DeFi and CeFi, like centralized finance, right? There's different coins you could look at. DeFi, there's different coins you could look at to get exposure. And I was actually thinking about making a video diving into a lot of those different coins. I just haven't done it yet, mainly because the market took off and I needed to focus on the main ones that I focus on. But yeah, Litecoin's the same thing as XRP, so I don't want to waste my time on it. It's the same thing as XRP in my opinion. It's better to wait until Bitcoin gets to a prior all-time high. How badly do you think the election will hit the market? I don't really know. I mean, I think that people are somewhat overreacting to it. Sometimes there's corrections going into the election, but they pretty much recover rather quickly. I think people are making a bigger deal than it probably is in terms of I mean, think about 2016. 2016 was an election year, and 2016 and 2017 were among the best years Bitcoin's had in terms of sustained uptrends. So this is my short take on that. Someone says disagree and they give their opinion. Okay. Okay. Why don't you provide data to back it up? And that would be that would go a lot further than just saying, you know, I disagree. This is going to happen. You know. Link is still right below $11. So, I mean, it'll be interesting. I'm kind of curious, actually, if I were to take some measured moves here, how far down each one is. So if we go to the top and then go to this wick, it's a 13% drop. This one is a 25% drop. And currently, it's at a 17% drop. Let me measure it by the candles and see if it makes any difference. So that's 14% drop where we currently are. 22%. And the other one is 7%. So not really any useful trends that we can talk about there, but maybe the bottoms are though. If you take a move from, let me delete these. So maybe from this one here, so that's 20%. Here's another 20% or so. This one was around 25%. So I'm just measuring like these local bottoms to local bottoms. We'll see. I mean, you know, if Bitcoin again, if it breaks out above 11K, then things could like start looking really good for altcoins. Until then, you know, I mean, it could continue to bounce in this range and test the 20-week moving average fairly frequently, causing alts to bleed if that were to occur. All right. Holy Guns, I assume, wants to be removed from the channel. I'll give you one more chance, but if you keep spamming the channel, I'm just going to remove you. I don't really want people spamming the channel. Hey man, it's all right to talk, but when you start spamming the chat every second with a single word, this is when you can't be here. I do stake ADA on Daedalus. I do. TA on subscription price? Well, I can guarantee you it's going up in 3 days. So I don't know if you can go long on that or not, but I can guarantee you it's going up in 3 days. Is ETH still on accumulation phase? I mean, as we showed, the risk levels are pretty low. I mean, it's still within the regression band. I think ETH is still in accumulation. I think it's still in an accumulation phase. You can find the price to the lifetime subscription on the actual once you actually get the subscription. I did buy some Link at 780. That was just where the risk level made it appropriate to buy it. I have spoken about Binance Coin some, right? I mean, if you want exposure to exchanges, there's Binance Coin, BNB. There's the Uniswap token, right, for like a decentralized exchange. There's several others as well. Hey, Paulo, stop spamming the chat, man. You've asked about it about 10 times now. I think that well, I don't know. I mean, we said it the other day, right? I mean, Bitcoin holds the 20-week. The sentiment can change on a dime, right? And here we are. Sentiment has changed on a dime. Again, this is not really that surprising. What would be different, right, is if it were to close below the 20-week, and then sentiment would not be likely to change on a dime. ADA's actually close to 10 cents. Matt, I already talked about the 3 phases. Just scroll back and you can see them. Yeah, I don't think we would see a $1,000 link this market cycle. Seeker of the way, the truth, and the life has been. I've heard crypto go from bottoms, not tops. Seems like a weird thing to say. I mean, we've showed bottoms to bottoms and tops to tops and bottoms to tops. So I don't really know what you're cherry picking or what Kool-Aid you're drinking, but I can assure you that we're not going to be drinking it here. Probably not going to add any other currencies to the risk dashboard right now. Do you think a $100 link in 2021 is possible? It's possible. Maybe 2022 would be a safer bet. I can't tell you percentage net worth that should be in crypto. This is up to your own risk tolerance. I can't tell you that, man. This is up to you. I don't have an opinion on IOTA, so I don't need to, you don't need to ask. I don't really have an opinion on it. I don't know if you should sell, man. It's up to you. The 20-week moving average, I use it just because historically that is the region to use, right? I mean, if you look at the BLX, the 20-week, again, that is the historic support line, right? This is the historic support line, so I need to change it to the weekly time frame, though. The 20-week is historically the support line, not the 26-week. I mean, market cap is a factor, but like just because there's a coin with like a $1 million market cap doesn't mean it's going to go up 100x. Most of them will go to 0. Speaker of the Way says, no Kool-Aid, seriously, can the 4-year cycle go from bottom to bottom, not the tops, meaning cycle may be extended from top to top, but bottoms give or take a couple months or 4 years apart? No. As we've showed many times, and as you could do yourself if you just went to TradingView and looked at the market bottom to bottoms, you would see that they are lengthening, right? Bottom to bottom, 469 days, 1,148 days, 1,449 days. If you tell me why The thing is you're saying it's 4 years because someone told you it was 4 years. What makes you think that, right? Just because some random person told you, I would say go look at the data. Does the data suggest 4 years? No, it does not. And because of this, I think that, this is what you should look at. Okay, so just coming and saying that it has to be, it's 4 years because the last cycle was 4 years, is a bit ridiculous. Or saying that, oh, it's measured bottom to bottom, not top to top. Yeah, I mean, you're just saying random things, right? That everyone, that doesn't really mean anything, right? I mean, yeah, you can measure it bottom to bottom. It doesn't change the narrative, right? It does not change the narrative one bit, whether you measure it bottom to bottom, top to top, or bottom to top, right? Even if you measure it bottom to top, it's lengthening, right? I mean, I show this basically in every live stream because I keep getting the same questions. 315, 903, 1470. This is 469, 1148, 1449. Top to top is, 931, 1456. You show me the 4 years. Don't cherry pick one data point and say it's 4 years. Do you think the Bitcoin cycles will find a stable time frame, albeit longer than 4 years? No, I don't. I don't think the markets work like that. It's not just, oh, let's buy it every 4 years and sell it every 4 years. Like, it doesn't. The markets just don't. They're not that predictable. Josh says, and this is the thing, right? I mean, he hit the nail on the head. It's like, he says, the thing is, Ben is not even looking at some secret, mysterious data. It's all right in front of anyone who chooses to look. Why the 4-year myth persists is beyond me, right? I mean, the data is all there. Like, I just, the only reason, I think the only reason that people believe in it, right, is because there's some models that, and there's a couple people out there that say that it's a 4-year cycle. This is a marketing scheme, in my opinion. It's just a marketing scheme. It has nothing to do with the data. It appeals to the people that are, that they just want to see that short-term ROI. They don't actually want to look at what the data says, and because of that, it gets the upvotes, right? Those are what get the upvotes. Yes, the halvings happen every 4 years, but if you expand your mind a little, it does not have to mean that each halving will catalyze each bull market, right? Each halving does not necessarily catalyze the bull market. We just have only had, we've only had a very, short window of time that we can actually look at the data. What if, as we said before, what if the next halving helps curb the effects of the bear market, right, rather than catalyze the next bull market? This would help reduce volatility to the downside, which is also important, right? So I think there's a good chance that the next halving will likely reduce volatility to the downside rather than catalyze the next bull market. Do you think volatility will increase or decrease? So as we move to 100K, I've have a few videos on it. I don't have the chart handy, but in general, like, annualized volatility is reducing, like, over the macro scale, right? And I did an extrapolation one time. Extrapolations are dubious, we know that, but I did an extrapolation one time that kind of predicts that by the year 2050, the annualized volatility of Bitcoin will be like, just a few percentage points. Nothing like we're seeing today, but that's 30 years from now, right? That's still 30 years from now. I think by like the early 2040s, the annualized volatility might be around 10%. And right now it's obviously a lot higher, but yeah, as we continue to march forward in time, annualized volatility will reduce, markets will become more efficient. It's just the name of the game. Yeah, I mean, one of the things with dumb money, right, that we've spoken about, right, is that to some degree, you want dumb money to exist, right? You want dumb money to exist. You just don't want it to be you, right? So, I mean, without the existence of dumb money, then where would the transfer of wealth come from in terms of markets, right? So, each bottom to top or top to bottom, it represents a transfer of wealth. So there is going to be dumb money. The dumb money always comes in. You just don't want to be on the wrong side of it. You want to be selling your bags to the dumb money and then buying those bags back from the dumb money when it's capitulation time, right? This is the idea. So we need dumb money to exist to continue to profit in these markets. But you just don't want to be the person on the wrong side of that, right? And that generally means you don't want to follow the crowd. And I feel like right now most of the crowd thinks that Bitcoin's going to 100K in 2021. I know a lot of you guys think that's absurd and that most people don't think that. But I assure you, if you step out onto Reddit, onto Twitter, onto most other YouTube channels, they do not talk about lengthening cycles. They talk about 4-year cycles and how Bitcoin's going to 100K or 200K or 300K next year, right? This is what they talk about. Tuning into this channel and only this channel puts you into a bubble, right? In and of itself, you're in a bubble if you only tune into this channel, because we don't talk about the likely chance that Bitcoin, fails to reach 100K next year, right? It's almost likely not going to happen. But the people that do think it's going to happen, right? They'll call for a $100,000 Bitcoin or a $200,000 Bitcoin in 2021. They'll get the upvotes. They'll get more subscribers. Then in 2021 it doesn't happen. Then they'll call for it in 2022, right? Because it'll still get the upvotes and it'll still get the subscribers. Then they'll call for it in 2023, and eventually they'll be right, and the world will continue on. The planet will still spin. People will have made a lot of money. People will have lost a lot of money, and the marketing games continue. Yeah, I really don't see 100K happening next year. Yeah, nice 2347. I've already said my opinions about Uni. I mean, I think it's probably a good one to hold on to for the market cycle, but there's not enough data to understand really how to trade it. I do think the cycle will be less volatile. Yes, I think the returns will be less for Bitcoin than it has been in prior cycles. What's the point of 100K Bitcoin if there's hyperinflation and the USD is worthless? I'm not sensationalist. I don't think that USD is going to be worthless. There's a lot of YouTube channels that'll say, hyperinflation coming. In 2008, they printed. I mean, not as much, right? But there is money printing. But the way the markets are designed is, there's certain. Just because they print money doesn't mean it's going to directly lead to inflation, right? In fact, you could argue there's various phases of deflation because people aren't even spending their money, right? So actually, I think it was Mark Cuban. I mean, he's a billionaire, right? Owner of the Mavericks. I think he was actually suggesting, the idea of giving people money for, the government should give people money for a few weeks, but they should be required to spend it. That's the problem, right? The problem is that they're printing money, but there's a lot of people just not spending their money. They're not going on vacations. They're not going out to restaurants, right? They're not doing these things that they otherwise would do. And so, they're just hoarding it, right? I do follow the NBA. that's why I sometimes joke about practice on the channel, right? Like this, like, you know, like Allen Iverson, like I'll joke about practice in the sense that, like, you know, when you're early on in the market cycle and you see these smaller bubbles form, you want to learn how to navigate the bubbles, right? It's practice. We're not talking about the game, right? The game will come later on when Bitcoin's at the prior all-time high, when it's at the new paradigm shift. Right now we're just practicing. So you better get your you know what together before that time comes, because when that time comes, you know, things won't be as forgiving, right? The markets won't be as forgiving as they may be right now. I don't think I don't think the Nuggets are going to come back from 3-1 against the Lakers. I know they came back 3-1, but I don't anticipate them necessarily doing it against the Lakers. Let's keep political talk out of the chat. I don't mind talking about sports and stuff, but I don't generally want to mix politics here, because that's just a way for conversations to take a very different turn. So let's steer away from politics. Yeah, soccer, I mean, soccer is the main sport I played growing up, actually. I also played tennis, too. Link's going up, I hear. 11:05. I mean, it's probably pumping, right? I mean, Bitcoin's pumping too. I imagine Ethereum's pumping as well. I mean, Ethereum's at 357, Bitcoin's 1075, Link 1108. I mean, it seems like the whole market is going up. It's not just Link at the exact moment, right? I mean, Link's already up a lot, but the whole market is moving up to some degree. I mean, you know, we're only a stone throw away from 11K. Can you do a log regression chart with LeBron James? I already talked about Polkadot. Yeah, I mean, 250 is a stone throw. I mean, that's percentage-wise, that's only like a couple percent, right? I mean, it's a stone throw away. Yeah, edge scaling could be a catalyst. It's at 11:11. In terms of a short-term ROI, I mean, it going down to that less than the 0.5 risk level, I mean, that was a perfect time. It would be nice, of course, right, if it came back down here. And I said, I mean, you realize how quickly the markets can change. I mean, this pump, again, it could be short lived. We're just not sure, how high it can go. Um, it is. It does somewhat seem like it won't be sustainable forever, right? I don't think it's just going to pump right back to $20, but we'll see what happens, right? We just follow the risk levels and we react accordingly. If we see Bitcoin go above 11K, then I imagine the markets could get somewhat crazy, especially after confirming the 20-week for a few weeks. I still contend it would be nice to continue to confirm it for a while, but I mean, 4 weeks of confirmation is at least a nice start, right? It's always possible that the price of Bitcoin rallies back up to 12K and then even comes back down, as we said, back down to the 20-week later on, but at, say, like a higher price when the 20-week maybe is closer to 10.7 as opposed to 10.1. I don't have any plans to sell merchandise. Let's just keep it focused on making money, right? Rather than looking at merchandise. This is my opinion, right? Make sure you subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up if you guys like the content. Remember, if you guys want access to the premium list, the prices are going up in 3 days. Okay, so if you want to get grandfathered in at the lower price, make sure you sign up before then. If you want access to the premium alerts and the private chat room and the weekly reports, the weekly premium videos, etc., make sure you sign up in the next 3 days as the prices are going up. Well, I mean, it's definitely a good time for crypto, right? I mean, looking at Bitcoin continuing to hold the 20-week and hopefully we continue to hold it, right? And we continue our slow and methodical move, right, back up to 20K, right? I mean, we're on track. We're definitely on track. We're slightly above the fair value, right? But we're still on track to get to a sustainable 20K in the next 16 months. Yeah, the thing with merchandise is that it's just I think it's just a waste of time. I mean, who cares, right? And I'm not even big on shirts with logos on them in the first place, right? I mean, a lot of times I just wear a plain T-shirt. I'd rather just focus on the markets and not get distracted with having lines of merchandise and stuff with a logo on them. It just seems like a complete and utter waste of time. No, if you pay now, you're grandfathered in at the lower price. You don't actually have to go back up if you don't cancel. I'm not creating my own cryptocurrency. This would be ridiculous, right? I mean, this is there's no reason to do that. There's enough middle schoolers out there creating ERC20s. I'm not going to join them. And people are saying make your own coin. You know, my initials are BC. What do you think my middle initial is? So I hate to sorry. Sorry, I'm just reading the chat. My middle name is not Toshi. I was just saying that if my first initial is B and my last initial is C, just guess what my middle initial is when people were saying I should create my own coin. Someone says if we come back and retest the 21 MA again, so I use the 20. I know some people use the 21 EMA. For the next few weeks, will it break down? I think that there's still a good chance we hold it, right? I think each time we go back down and hold it, it's just going to make things more and more bullish, right? So, the first few times altcoins were spooked. Now it seems that altcoins are pumping on news that Bitcoin holds the 20-week. If it goes back down again and holds it, you can imagine that every single time that it holds it, things are probably going to become more and more bullish. You're billed monthly, not on the first of the month if it's through the website, just monthly. Do you have a price point where you exit all markets? For Bitcoin, it would be the 0.9, the 0.9 to 1 risk level I would get out of Bitcoin. Probably take out most of the earnings and speculate on a few altcoins for a few weeks and then just completely get out of the crypto markets for a year or two and focus more on stocks and stuff at that point, right? Because you want to continue to grow the wealth. You don't want to sit on your coins, watch them go up 10x, 50x, and then watch them ride all the way back down. You want to hand those bags off to the dumb money and then go chase other markets, right? We talk about crypto now because that's where the best risk-adjusted returns are, in my opinion. Don't tell Tesla I said that, but there's going to come a point where the channel is going to pivot and focus on other things, right? When if Bitcoin's due for a 1-year bear market or a 1.5-year bear market, we're not going to be doing daily crypto videos at that point. We'll talk about other things, right? Grow the crypto wealth now. You grow the wealth now with a higher risk, and then you protect the wealth later on, right? You protect it. You want to protect it. You don't just want to, gamble it on altcoins and watch it all disappear. What ratio Bitcoin Ethereum might be best, hypothetically? Do you mean the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio, or you mean portfolio-wise, or? if the stock market tanks, we kick the can down the road for Bitcoin, or do you expect it to decouple? It depends on how much. I mean, if it's just like another correction, then it might not. I mean, if Bitcoin's already rebounded quickly. If it's a 30% drop, then yeah, Bitcoin probably won't hold the 20-week. But I don't actually anticipate a 30% drop. I think that stocks are, I mean, it's not cool to say, but I think over the macro scale, stocks are going to continue to go up, right? I mean, there's going to be corrections on the way. We know this. But I don't anticipate another 40% drop in stocks this year. I don't really follow any other crypto YouTubers. I mean, I used to follow some of them, but I haven't in a while, right? I mean, it's not because I don't like them. It's just because I don't have as much time now to follow them. But there are other good ones out there. Yeah, I mean, as you can see, it was just the whole market moving up, because now Bitcoin has moved back down to 10,721, and then Link's below 11. So I don't think a Link was necessarily breaking out against the market. It was just that the whole market was moving up in the last hour. Yes, it broke up against the whole market like a day or so ago, but right now it's not breaking up against the market. It's still very much dependent on Bitcoin's. If it's going up or if it's going down, right? If Bitcoin goes down, Link will probably erase a lot of its gains that it's had. But if it continues to move up, then at least in the short term, maybe Link will hold on. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Someone says, you remind me of Sheldon from The Big Bang. I think I get this comment in every live stream. I'm not actually sure if it's the same person saying it or if everyone thinks that. I mean, you could always hold some fraction beyond the upper risk level. For a coin like Link, I would, but for Bitcoin, I probably wouldn't. I mean, if we reach that 0.9 to 1 risk level, I mean, I'll be pretty happy, and I'll be so confident that it's going to come back down. I'm not going to care if it goes up a little bit more. The premium list does sometimes talk about the stock market. We do actually have risk levels for the stock market. In fact, about 3-4 weeks ago, we hit the 0.8 risk level on stocks. So I sold 10%. And it then subsequently tanked for a few days. And by tanked, I mean it went down a few percentage points, right? But it made me more flush with cash and back moving back into the market. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up if you guys like the content. Someone says, what do you think is causing the pump? I mean, it's just holding the 20-week again, right? I mean, we bounced off the 20-week before, right? There's plenty of bounces off the 20-week. It's just another bounce off the 20-week. Remember, guys, the markets can change in a dime. I mean, Bitcoin's bullish today, could be bullish tomorrow, could be bearish tomorrow. But as long as the 20-week holds, these bounces can always occur, right? This is business as usual. Bounces can occur pretty quickly when Bitcoin's holding the 20-week and remain fairly bullish, right? Back when Bitcoin was at like 4K and it bounced to 5 or 6K, most people thought it was still going down, right? And even on the way up, people were still very skeptical. Now, if it goes to the 20-week, people get very bearish. But as long as it holds it, it can quickly return to those prior levels, as we keep seeing time and time again. See, if Bitcoin drops below this level, then Link will probably drop below 11. If it goes back down to like 10.72, then I imagine. I mean, I don't think Link's breaking out right now. It just is. It's moving up with the market, right? I mean, it's hovering at this level. Link's hovering at 11. We see this drop any lower, Link's going to go below. See, 726, Link's back below 11. So it dropped a couple bucks. Link's back below 11. So I don't think Link's breaking out at the moment. It's just trending up with the market. What's so special about the 20-week? It's just where it's respected it before. There's nothing special about it other than the fact that that's where it's respected it before. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up. Let's get to 400 likes if we can. Also, you guys should check out the Telegram channel. If you guys really want to keep the chat going when I'm not on stream, make sure you check out the Telegram channel. You can find a link to it in the description below, or I'll go ahead and put it in the comments. Yeah, there's a lot of influencers that'll always pump and dump on their followers. I mean, this is a common issue in the cryptocurrency space. So this is why I generally don't talk about micro cap coins, because I don't want to, I don't want to artificially pump a coin up, and that's why we stick to larger cap coins. Yeah, so Chainlink Chat is asking about what is included in the premium paid content. So it's primarily Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Link and ADA. Like, I mean, the last couple of days, it was heavily focused on Link because the risk levels for Link aligned perfectly for this buy right here, where the Link USD risk level was below 0.5, and the Link Bitcoin risk level was below 0.65, right? Which is where this is where we want to be, right? In this region. So that aligned very well, right? We showed these charts as well, looking at where we were in the macro scheme of the Link risk levels. So we do talk a lot about Link. It's probably the altcoin I talk the most about. You also get access to the video, the weekly videos and the reports as well. Remember, if you want to sign up, the prices are going up in 3 days on September 28th. So make sure you sign up before then if you want to get grandfathered in at the lower prices, and you get access to the alerts channel, the chat room, the weekly videos, the weekly reports, the dynamic DCA selling strategy dashboard, and the risk dashboard, which is what I used to trade. I think we're probably going to go ahead and wrap it up here. This seems like as good of a time as any. Please subscribe to the channel. If you can see that Link is obviously tied to Bitcoin at the moment, right? Bitcoin's trending down now; it's below 10.72. So now Link is back down to 10.9. So I think a lot of the market is going to watch Bitcoin for at least the short term, see where it's headed. If it goes down, some of these coins will erase some of their gains. If it's able to move back up to 11K. Then a lot of these coins probably will continue marching on up. But again, the 20-week will likely be tested even in the bull market. We know it's going to be tested countless times, right? You must always be ready for Bitcoin to test the 20-week moving average, right? It feels like a gut punch sometimes, but you must always be ready for that to happen, because when it happens, right, a lot of people get spooked, they get scared out of the market. But ultimately speaking, this is the level that tends to hold in the bull market. We'll see if it does at this bull market, but historically speaking, that's where it tends to hold. And so far, at least right now, it does seem to be respecting that level. It's scary every time, right? If you're not really sure what you're doing, or if you're the one that's selling down here. But as long as you stick to a plan, I think this is the main focus. So thank you guys for tuning in. Please check out the premium list if you want access to it. You have 3 days before prices go up. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you get the video a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.